Well, good morning, friends. Welcome back to my channel. Alrighty, today we're going to make what we call Christmas jam. I made this last year, and it calls for one 12-ounce bag of cranberries and about 40 ounces of strawberries, either fresh or frozen. This year I was lucky enough to find fresh. But when I made this last year, I thought it could use more cranberries and less strawberries. So I'm going to add, and I like the flavor of orange as well. So I have 3 of these cranberry orange relish from Trader Joe's that I'm going to use to add more cranberry and a little orange flavor. It'll add more pectin, so I will have a better gel. I didn't have a good gel last time, even though I did use a couple packs of Certo liquid pectin. So I'm going to still continue to add liquid pectin, but I think the addition of a greater proportion of cranberries in this recipe will make it a little better. And then in addition to the cranberry and strawberry and the orange that we're going to have from this cranberry orange relish, we're going to add a little bit of holiday spices. So some cinnamon, nutmeg, clove, allspice. And that's going to give it a nice holiday flavor. These are the liquid additives that we put in our Christmas jam. This is an orange liqueur, cointreau. It's a type of triple sec. So if you have triple sec, like if you're a fan of having margaritas, you would probably have triple sec on hand. You can use that. And I just used about an ounce for that whole big batch. And we also used some pure vanilla extract. Again, I used about a tablespoon or so for that whole big batch. I'm going to jar this up in maybe half pints and maybe some quarter pints as well. This should make quite a bit. Let's see, I'm thinking it'll probably make 10 or 12 half pints. So we'll see how that goes as we cook it down. You know, as you cook things, they tend to decrease in volume a little bit. So I'm going to get the rest of the strawberries processed like this. I've already got these fresh cranberries processed, and these are already processed for me because the grocery store did it for me, Trader Joe's. And we'll come back as soon as I have the strawberries all ready to go. Okay, so I got my proportions for this from checking out several different recipes for Christmas jam on the web. And most of them quote, for every pound of strawberries you need 4 cups of sugar, or one recipe that says 3 pounds of strawberries, which is what I have, requires 10 cups of sugar. So I'm going to go with the 10 pound. Here's another recipe I found that has 40 ounces of strawberries and 5 pounds of sugar. Oh yes, I just checked my conversion, and 5-pound bag of sugar equals between 11 and 12 cups of sugar. So all of these recipes are quoting me between 10 to 12 cups of sugar for my 3 pounds of strawberries. So I'm going to go with the 10 cups. So we're going to mix 10 cups of sugar, 3 pounds of strawberries. This is about a half a pound of cranberries. And then we have 3 more pints here of cranberry orange relish, which is primarily cranberry with some orange for flavor, and of course sugar. So this cranberry and sugar and orange has sort of balanced out for itself, and I'm letting the rest of the recipe balance itself out. So hopefully it'll all come out okay in the end here. I just earlier today made jam using 5 pints of Trader Joe's cranberry orange relish. So if you'd like to see that video, I'll put a link in the description box up in the corner here, and you can see how I did that. But now we're going to use this to make our Christmas jam. So let us get this all mixed up. We're going to use strawberries, cranberries, sugar, the cranberry orange relish, and some holiday spices, and some cointreau or triple sec. So let's get it all put together. Oh, and then at the end of cooking, after it's boiled, come to a rolling boil for a minute, we're going to add, I think I'm going to add 3 packs of Certo liquid pectin, because I used 2 packs with my recipe last year and it wasn't quite enough. So we're going to go with 3 packs. So let's get everything put together and we'll start cooking this on the stove. So this is the Trader Joe cranberry orange relish. The only ingredients in this are cranberries, sugar, and oranges. It's not cooked. It's just a fresh relish, so we're going to include this as part of our jam here. So we'll get 3 of these into the pot. I love this stuff. I could just eat it by the buckets. There goes 1. Number 2. I'm sort of tweaking this recipe to make it my own because I was kind of disappointed last year that the Christmas jam that I made tasted like it was primarily strawberry, which it primarily was, but you couldn't really taste the cranberries in there. And I like cranberries, so I'm adding extra so that we can be sure to taste them. These are the fresh cranberries that I had that I ground up. And here comes my 3 pounds of strawberries. And then we've got 10 pounds of sugar. That's one heck of a lot of sugar. So I'm adding the sugar now because I'm not using regular pectin. I'm going to use liquid pectin. And for liquid pectin, you combine all the ingredients, and then at the end of cooking, you add your pectin. And I'm not going to add my spices just yet either because I would like to keep the more delicate flavor of the spices from cooking out. So let's put this on to bring it up to a boil. Alrighty, we've got our burner on high. Oops, I got a little strawberry piece there. And we're going to stir this and bring it up to a boil. And once we get it up to a rolling boil, we're going to let it boil for a minute or 2. And then we'll add the pectin and we'll add our spices and we'll let it boil again for another minute at a rolling boil. Okay, so we've got the heat on. We're going to bring this up to a boil. It's primarily fruit, so it will boil. The sugar will cook down into the jam. Look at all those strawberries. So this is going to just come to a boil. It'll all melt together. When it gets to a rolling boil, we'll let it boil for another minute or 2. Then we will add our liquid pectin. We'll add our spices, the cinnamon, nutmeg, allspice, and clove. You could add ginger too if you like ginger. It gives a little bit of a spicy twang. And we're going to add vanilla. For this big pot of stuff, I would say probably a tablespoon of vanilla. And we're going to add about 2 tablespoons of triple sec or cointreau, which is an orange liqueur, to intensify the orange flavor. And we will come back when this is boiling. So we've got these simmering, and then we've got our ingredients simmering also. I can tell I'm going to like this much better because I can actually see the cranberries in here. Last year's batch, it was mostly strawberries, very few cranberries. So in here we've got the cranberry orange relish, 3 pints of that. We've got a half pint of fresh cranberries. We have 3 pounds of strawberries. And we have 10 cups of sugar for those 3 pounds of strawberries. And once these come up to a nice boil, we'll come back. Okay, we've reached the point where it's a rolling boil. When I stir it, I can't stop it from boiling. And we're going to time this for a minute. And then we're going to add our pectin. Okay, I have 3 pouches of Certo liquid fruit pectin. We're going to add all 3 of them in. This will temporarily stop this from boiling, and then we're going to bring it back up to a boil and let it boil for another minute. So we'll come back when I've got the 3 pouches added. I've added the 3 pouches of pectin, and you can see it kind of stops it from boiling temporarily. It lowers the temperature a little bit. So once we get back up to another rolling boil, we'll let it boil for a minute, and then we'll be ready to fill our jars. So we'll come back after it's come to another boil and boil for another minute. Okay, we're coming up to a nice rolling boil again. Almost there. This has come up to a nice rolling boil. We're going to time this for 1 more minute, and then we're going to add some vanilla and some spices and the triple sec, and then we'll be ready to fill our jars. Boy, let me tell you, you got to be careful when it's boiling like this. This stuff can bubble up and hit you on the hand or in the face, so just be very careful. I've turned off the heat because we've reached our minute of a rolling boil. I'm going to add the cointreau, the triple sec. And I'm going to add our spice mix, and I'll put the complete list of what's in this spice mix in the description box below. And I'm adding about 2 teaspoons of vanilla. Our spice mix is cinnamon, nutmeg, allspice, and clove. You could add ginger if you like to as well. That's a little too peppery for my taste, so I usually leave ginger out, but you can add it if you like it. Okay, I think this is good to go. And I'm going to give it the quick test with my spoon. I put a spoon in the freezer so I can check the set on this. I wouldn't worry about it except for the strawberries. You know, strawberries have practically no pectin, and they have a difficult time setting up into a gel. So let us check the set with a frozen spoon. Okay, I've had this spoon in my freezer. It looks good. I think that's setting up pretty nicely. So I think we're ready to fill our jars. Okay, we're ready to fill our jars. These are nice and warm. They came right out of the simmering water bath. We've got really super duper hot jam here. We're going to fill these to about 1/2 inch headspace. They say for jam you can go to 1/4 inch headspace. I don't like to fill them quite that full, but you don't want to go much less than 1/2 inch headspace either. And I've tasted this and I like it much better with the extra cranberries. For my taste. I'm going to just rob Peter to pay Paul here. That one's a little too full, and this one doesn't have quite enough. Okay. These really look beautiful. Beautiful, I say, beautiful. This little jar is the one that I always save for myself because they're expensive, and when I give them out, I don't get them back. So I keep these jars. You know, these are okay to give away. They're only maybe $1 a jar at the most. It's hard to believe the cost of jars has gone up so much. I used to get a pack of 12 jars for like $6 or $7, and now it's over $12. Crazy. Crazy times. And I love my friends who bring me my jars back. Love, love, love them. Okay, so we have our 7 half pints. Those were all the half pints that I had on hand. So the rest of this is going to have to go into quarter pints. I'm going to put these into the water bath canner. Okay, let's work on filling up these quarter pints. I'm wondering if I'm going to have so much that I may need more jars. That's always a good problem to have. Okay. Yeah, I think I'm going to have extra. Maybe I can stack my quarter pints in my canner. Oops, I've got too much in there. Too much, too much. It's way to the top. Yeah, I'm going to have to rustle up some more jars. Okay, I've prepared a few more jars here that I was able to find. I don't know, I've got so much of this jam. Not a bad problem, is it? Well, I used 3 pints from Trader Joe's and another half pint of fresh cranberries. So that's 3.5 pints. And then I had 10 cups of sugar. And the strawberries, 3 pounds of strawberries. I don't know how many cups that made, but that was quite a few cups as well. Okay. Wipe that one. Sometimes I get ahead of myself. Okay, you want to wipe the rims so that you'll have a good seal. Well, let me wash that off. Wipe the rim, the top of the rim there, so you'll have a good seal, and also the threads here so that you don't have product sticking there, rusting the container shut on you, because that can happen. I think my canner is about full. I'm going to have to add a little water, and then we're going to water bath process these for 15 minutes. Okay, folks, this is what's meant by a rolling boil. It's got to be boiling like this, a hard boil. And we're going to set our timer for 15 minutes. When the 15 minutes is up, we'll turn off the heat, and we'll let these cool down a little bit by themselves on the stove, maybe another 15-20 minutes, and then we'll take them out of the canner. And I should have mentioned earlier, the reason we can water bath can this particular food item instead of having to pressure can it is because cranberries and oranges are a high acid food. And even strawberries are pretty high in acid. So your fruits can be water bath canned. They don't have to be pressure canned because we don't need that high heat of 240 to kill the botulism spores. The fruit and the sugar has a natural retardant effect on botulism and mold and that kind of stuff because it's so acid. Those type of organisms can't grow in an acid environment. That's how we can get away with doing water bath canning, which is actually fun and gentler on your food and gives you a really nice product at the end of cooking. Okay, our 15-minute processing time is finished, and I'm going to remove the jars from the canner. We'll set them on this insulated surface. This is a plastic cutting board, and we'll let them cool off for 10, 12, 14 hours. Then we'll clean the jars, mark them, and put them away. This recipe that I used made a huge batch. I have 2 water bath canners filled with this Christmas jam. So it's going to be wonderful to have so much to give away. Well, there they are. Beautiful jars of Christmas jam. And let's get this so you can have a little better view of it here. Look how beautiful that is. And it tastes delicious too. And here we are the next morning. Look at all the jars I got out of this recipe. Huge amount. I have already removed the rings, tested the seals. I took every one of these over to the sink and washed them with soapy water. You could put vinegar in your canner if you want to do that, but I'm going to just wash my jars anyway, because in case there's some sort of food or something that's come out, I want to make sure I wash all that off. So for this recipe, we got how many half pints here? We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 half pints and 21 quarter pints. So if you're just doing half pints, you could get 18 half pints for sure out of this recipe. Okay, so all I have left to do now is just mark the product. I'm going to put Christmas Jam 23, the date, and I'm going to put W15, meaning that I water bath canned it for 15 minutes. It'll go onto the shelf, the ones that I don't give away, and that's it for the year. This is my jar that I keep for myself, because it was a little pricier. If you've shopped for jars, you know this particular model jar is expensive. It's like $4 a piece. So I'm going to keep this one. But look how beautiful. Very Christmassy. Not quite as red as when I made the batch with the heavier percentage of strawberry in it. But I like this anyway. I like the burgundy color. Okay. Take care. We'll see you again next time. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to my channel.